Okay everyone, welcome. I'm going to start trying video blogs here for a little while. What we're going to do at the beginning here is try to keep it simple and short, because I know you guys are busy, don't really care what I'm doing, but I'll keep you updated with what's going on. So today we're going to talk about a couple different things, some disruptive technology stuff, New Year's resolutions, books I've been reading, upcoming plans for me and Amy. We'll look at some pictures that we've taken here in China, and then just some funny videos from going around. So here we go. Okay, about disruptive technologies a little bit. This is kind of a catchphrase I think people have heard before. Think like PayPal when it was first invented, kind of doing online banking. Today we have places like Uber throwing taxis out the door. Airbnb makes hotels less relevant. Bitcoin is starting to change the way we look at money. But what do all these things have in common? I think they're all very good ideas, but I think they have a lot of flaws that we have to really start working on as people who are trying to make these ideas more popular or more commonplace. You have to try to help people, governments, and then economies see the importance of these things. So for example, people are very slow to adopt things such as Bitcoin or Uber because maybe they find it confusing, or they don't know if they trust it exactly yet. Or think about like the established business gets angry, so banks don't like Bitcoin. Hotels don't like Airbnb, taxi drivers don't like Uber. There's kind of a bit of a fighting against those, so you have to try to show people that there is a benefit there. And then also governments will sometimes either like hinder or restrict, maybe even block these types of technologies because they don't quite understand them, or they see them as too disruptive, or they're using outdated rules. So how do we change these kinds of things? And I think we have to try to create laws in place with governments where they can help facilitate these types of technologies, because they do help eliminate waste in an economy or in a civilization per se. And I think businesses also have to realize that someday you're going to be overthrown. I mean, if you remember the Apple commercial from a long time ago in the 80s where they were overthrowing Microsoft and the big companies like that, businesses are going to be overthrown at some point. You have to always be looking for that new technology, the new thing. And I think also most important, especially my perspective, is going in education. And for the education, which I think is most important, you have to teach people to always be learning, lifelong learning. Don't just learn a little bit and then use that the rest of your life. You need to keep learning. The world's going to keep changing. You have to adapt, be able to change very quickly. Don't memorize something, Google it real quick. There's different ways of learning. Also things like AI, which we're most likely going to have by about 2045 with Moore's Law moving along, or fiat currencies slowly being replaced by, probably not Bitcoin, but like a Bitcoin 2.0, something of that sort. Tomorrow's going to look drastically different than today, and the governments, the schools, and economies really need to start preparing for that now, because there's an avalanche or tsunami of technology changes coming that the most people aren't even contemplating or thinking about. So we need to really make sure we pay attention to that as we keep moving forward. Okay, New Year's resolutions. So it's been officially 25 days. They say it takes 21 days to build a habit. So maybe you are one of the 8% of the people who continue their New Year's resolutions after the first 21 days. If you've done that, congratulations, you're special. Me, I had two resolutions that I was trying to do this year. First one was to lift every day, do push-ups and sit-ups every morning, as well as study Chinese for 1 hour every day. I had started off really well with that for the first 2 weeks. I'd done it every day for the first 2 weeks, but I think one of the reasons that I had that is that I was living in a different place. I have a house in Nansha where I do training most of the time right now, but I also have one near my office. They're about an hour apart. And the one near my office, I have a different routine when I'm there, so I haven't been keeping the same routine. As when I'm in Nansha, I have much more control over my routine. So I've been getting up right away, doing the push-ups and sit-ups, and then right after that studying Chinese. So I think the key to maintaining your New Year's resolution is to form a habit that where you're going to do it every day at the same time. Whether that's every time you eat something, you write it down so you can track what you're eating to make sure you're losing weight. Or if you want to be reading more books, set aside like an hour or 20 minutes every day. When exactly are you going to be reading those books? Make sure to put those down and then able to do them. But the problem is that we all fail, we all fall down, we get out of our routine. The trick is to get back into it as quick as you can. So this is your reminder to get back into your New Year's resolution. Okay, time to talk about books. I put on my glasses so I look more serious and formal. I've had 3 books that I've read in the last month. I'm trying to make it so I have 2 books every month now. If I get 24 books a year, I think that's a pretty good thing. Keep moving along. One thing people have asked me before, like, how do you find time to read books if we're all really busy? And what I recommend a lot is to, you can see the computer reflecting off my glasses into the camera. I'm going to take these off. Okay, so one thing I recommend for being able to read books is try to find downtime of when you can do it, when you're doing nothing else. So let's say you're like taking a taxi or going on a train. And now I realize that most people in America drive and you can't read a book and drive. But little times like that where if you're waiting for the doctor or waiting for someone to show up in a taxi, on a train, read then. That way you have a little bit of downtime where you don't have to be doing something else. It's a chance to check your email and read a book. Reading a book's much more productive than checking your email. So that's what I recommend to be able to read. If you can do it every time at night before you go to bed, that's good for some people. But for me, reading at night just makes me fall asleep. So I really don't remember anything, and I read because I want to remember. Also, I really recommend getting a Kindle, not the Fire, get the Paperwhite. I've had that for a while now, and it's amazing because it's really small, thousands of books on it, and the quality of the screen is much, much better than looking at like an iPad or a Kindle Fire all day long. So, the 3 books that I've been reading this past month or so, number 1 is called The Power of Focus. Kind of being able to take like certain activities and focus on them specifically, and building action plans and habits to achieve those goals. I think a lot of people, we tend to look at different ideas. We say, oh, here's a good idea over here, another good idea. I want to do this business. I want to do this business. But you really, really need to focus on just 1, maybe 2, at the most 3 things that you want to be good at, that you want to achieve. So being able to do those is really important. I'll leave a link in the description a little more later. The second book is called Collaborative Consumption, and I find this book really interesting. I had heard about it before, and I've seen some talks about it, but I just read it finally, and I think it's kind of the future of the economy, of the world a little bit. Like, it's really growing. Like, think about things like Uber or Airbnb. Those are kind of some famous, what we call collaborative consumption type businesses, where you take products or things that are kind of a down, think like a zip car as well. Like, you have a car, you own a car, but how many hours per day do you use that car? If you're like most people, maybe 4, probably 2 is the most that you use that per day. So why do you have to own a car when you don't use it all that time? So being able to share that with other people, like you own the car, but then you rent it to someone else when you're not using it, that's a way to make money. It's a way to reduce waste in the economy. Because if everyone owns a car, it's impossible. I mean, my biggest example here in China is if everyone in China had a car and drove like Americans, the air pollution would be much, much worse, but more likely traffic would be terrible. You wouldn't be able to do it because there'd be too many people trying to drive. So it's better to have a system where people can share cars or be able to use them as need, like an on-demand, a cloud type service for cars. So that's kind of the whole idea behind a collaborative consumption, is being able to put together resources and demand so we don't overproduce. And it has a bit of like an environmental factor, which isn't the main reason for me and my belief of it. Like, yes, it's good to help the environment, but you also have to be economically like important. And the best part about it is you're able to bring in new technology much faster. Like, think about a computer or a car even. You buy a computer or a car, you use it for maybe 2, 3, 4 years at the most. After that, it's obsolete. There's some other technology that's coming to replace it. So if those cars had been overproduced, those old ones just get thrown away. The old computers just get thrown away, and they're not used at all. So it's a waste as a business, also with the environmental factors as well. The third book that I'm going over is called Contagious, and this is a book that I think came out in 2013. It's very interesting because this is something that we all know, but nobody has really studied very much, I think. And it talks about think about like a cat video or Charlie Bit My Finger. How did those become popular? How do people find those, and then how does it spread throughout the internet community? So if you could do that with your business or your idea, that's a really good thing because it builds a following. Everyone knows about it, everyone talks about it, and then your product or your service, your business does very well. But is there a way to actually engineer those types of products, those types of videos, those types of posts? Are you able to engineer that it becomes viral? Or is it just a luck, a random thing? And this book talks through the steps of actually, no, it's not a random thing. There are specific things you can do to make your post, make your video, make your business be talked about more. kind of walks you through different ways to do that. I think there's good things and bad things about this. I think one of the good things is you have to understand this, because even if you disagree with it, you think it's bad to spread ideas like that, so people have to click on the famous celebrity nude photos or something, or 7 ways that your college town is better than every other one. Like, those are kind of stupid articles, but you click on them anyways. You have to understand why that is. It's a lot of psychology. It's not as much business stuff. So being able to understand that is a very important thing. But if you want to look at it from a business perspective, or even just helping people, you can be able to take an idea like don't do drugs. And we all know that like the DARE campaigns from the 90s and 80s were extreme failure. They actually made people do more drugs because they took those types of programs. If you could find a different way to change the message to show people that your product or service is actually a good idea, don't smoke cigarettes or something like that, being able to do those in the correct way. Upcoming plans for me and Amy. The next couple of months should be a lot of fun. Finishing up a project in Nansha that I've been there since August. So hopefully we'll have that done before Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year is the 19th of February. I'm going to be finishing the project in Nansha on the 13th. And then on the 15th, we're going to be flying to Australia. And we'll be there for 3 weeks. We're going to rent a car. We're going with one of my students and his girlfriend. And we'll be driving around Australia. We're going to drive from the top to the bottom. So that will be kind of a cool experience. I'm sure I'll be able to post some photos and stuff about that when I get back. Then in March, coming back here, I'll be living again full-time in Guangzhou. I'll be teaching at a college again, maybe 2 colleges, we'll see. I have my students that I'm working with. I'm up to about 5 students now. One-on-one classes. We're also advertising for kind of my business class that I taught last spring, as well as the culture course. Both of those we're still looking for more students. We have some, but we need more. And we'll do that through June or July. And then in August, we'll be coming to America. Amy and I are going to come. We're going to bring about maybe 12 friends from China. We're going to drive from LA to Chicago, take 2 weeks doing that. And then after Chicago, we'll put everyone on the plane, but we'll come down and visit Cincinnati for a little while, Amy and I. And then I'll come back to China and continue business as usual. So look forward to seeing all you guys when we're in the States in August. If anyone's going to be in Australia in February or March, let me know. Otherwise, come visit. Thanks for watching. See some pictures now, okay? Bye-bye.
老外。
Hello.
Can I practice English with you?
哎，你好。我操！
谢谢。
哇，
Your Chinese so good.
你中文为什么这么好？
You are so skinny.
你为什么这么胖？
你为什么有胡子啊？
I like your big nose.
你是美国人吗？
Are you Japanese？
你不是美国人啊？那你一定是英国人。
Are you Russian? 多少钱？
你来自南非，为什么肤色好像有点不对啊？
苏格兰 ？Oh, your men wear the dresses. 以前我认为所有的美国人都很胖。
你是犹太人，那你很懂怎么赚钱喽
I think Western girls are very open.
？I think you must eat many hamburgers.
所有的西餐都非常的不健康哎。Oh, isn't that spicy?
我知道臭豆腐很恶心，但是很好吃。
你为什么总要喝咖啡呢 ？You see busted? You must eat the noodles. Do you know how to use chopsticks?
Do you need a fork?
Oh no! Cold water is
Bad for healthy. Hot water is good for healthy. Maybe you are sick because you don't
Wear
wear.
more clothes. Catch a cold. 为什么？
No one.
Do you know the Big Bang Theory?
I think Sheldon is so handsome.
Why did you come to China?
What's your job? What's your rent? What's your salary? 多少钱
This is China.
I hate Japan. Americans so dangerous.
我们有5000年的历史，你们老外永远不会懂这一点的。
Chinese girl so traditional. 你为什么还不结婚呢
You don't want to be a left behind girl.
You want Chinese wife?
Do you have a Chinese boyfriend?
啊，你喜欢中国女孩子？
Do you want a Chinese boyfriend?
啊，你是个色狼。
Why can't you squat?
You can have a try.
Do you like to sing KTV?
I think it's very interesting.
Do you free tomorrow?
Maybe we can play. Oh, I saw you have pimple.
That's so fashion.
我觉得我们的污染是你们美国人带来的。
Wow, so strong.
Do you have QQ?
你有微信吗？
My email is 66781134455667at163.com。
多少钱 Okay. All right, that's creepy. Yeah, I guess the whole Russian community gonna hate me. They gotta whack me off.
That shit look the snow, and one horse open sleigh. Over the we go, laughing all the way. Ha 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 ha. The rain makes things bright. Fun is to ride and sing in one horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it's to ride in one horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. 我一嘴。先生，这边。
Much faster than this one.
Yeah. More efficient.
也预祝我们广粤天地赛。
What should I get for lunch? Chicken feet, bag of red stuff, meatballs, fish, chicken feet. So many choices. Oh, there we go. Found them. Good.